Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is the Mayor of Marathon, Rick Dumas. Welcome, Rick.
Thanks, Steve. How you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for joining me on the show.
No problem.
Rick, let's start a little bit with your own personal background. Did you grow up in Marathon? Where did you come from?
Absolutely. I was born and raised in Marathon. I actually lived in Heron Bay, which is a little community about 15 kilometers from Marathon. Then, of course, through the pulp and paper industry, my dad moved into Marathon, worked at the mill in 1969, so we moved to Marathon in 1969 from Heron Bay.
Right on. And so, what was kind of, your early days like there in Marathon?
Wonderful. Actually, Marathon was a small community of about 1,800 people, and, great, small, everybody knew everybody. Still is like that today, but back then it was more intimate, more of a community-based. A lot of great times, minor hockey, through the hockey careers. And back then, really good hockey in Marathon, Terrace Bay, Schreiber. The whole region had great hockey, junior hockey. So we can always remember those great times in that. And then, of course, summer we had Penn Lake and Lake Superior to play in, and really good place to grow up, honestly. I really enjoyed my youth in Marathon.
Right. So you played hockey, eh?
Yes, I did, yeah.
So what position were you?
I still play hockey today. I play right wing and sometimes center, but I've always been a hockey lover, golfer, and fisherman, and that's the kind of things small town people do a lot of times, right? Because back then we didn't have the electronic toys either, so you spend most of your time in the arena in the wintertime and outside playing road hockey or building go-karts in the summertime.
Right on. So when did you get interested in politics?
Well, it started off in the early 80s. I actually opened up a business in Marathon, a video store, and then throughout that time I opened up a couple other businesses in Marathon and Manitouwadge. So then as you get a little older, more mature, you start following the process within the municipality because, there are some, things you got to pay, taxes, and, you need services provided and such and so on. So Marathon went through a boom in mid-80s, and a lot of things started changing in Marathon. So what I decided to do is focus in on the political aspect of our community. I felt there was a lot of things that weren't being done right, so I was getting frustrated. So I would send little letters off in the late 80s to the mayor of the day and ask him why these things were being done this way in our community, because we were faced with high cost of taxes in running a business, and those are big expenses to a business person. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't alone, and there were other business members in the community. So I was getting more responses back, and they weren't satisfactory. So come 1991, when the election was being called, I decided to put my name in and make a change in the community and try to bring those costs down and really put an effort forward and into the community as a voice for the community and a voice for change. And I mean, as you know, when you get involved, things change if you can put that right foot forward in a sense, right? So I did, and I got elected overwhelmingly in the community, and I've been there ever since, basically, since 1991.
So what was that position you ran for in 1991?
Just council, and At that time there was 6 members of council and the mayor. We sat with that team of council from 91 through 97, and then actually there was I did have a break there in 3 years because I decided I was ready for mayor in 1997, but there was 5 of us running for mayor.
Wow, in Marathon, 5 different people.
Absolutely, and what the biggest problem there, Steve, was that all 5 council members were running. So,
oh my gosh!
Yes, what happened was literally the council, the vote was split up by all 5 members obviously running, and so Pat Richardson was then elected mayor in 1997. So the rest of us got the boot from council. It was a total greenhorn council in 1997-2000. I then ran again in 2000 for council, and ran right through to 2006 as a successful candidate for council. Then 2006 I decided I was ready. I was more mature to run for the mayor, and I've been mayor since 2006.
So you talked about when you first got involved, you were really bringing the perspective of a small business person, and really taxes is one thing you mentioned was an issue. What were your goals? What were the main issues you wanted to pursue when you got involved in politics?
Well, so I said, following some of the political things happening in the community prior to that election, 1991, and the municipality was in real dire straits. We went through a big boom, and there was a lot of things done hastily because of the boom, and it was such a quick thing.
Now, the boom was around what?
The Hemlo mine, the Hemlo goldfields.
Okay, so, and that came in when?
83 to 84 was the starting development of all the houses and the development of the subdivisions, the mine. The mine started production of June 9, 1985. So we had a lot of the families in and a lot of people moving to the community. Schools were bursting at the seams. Municipality was really, really set back with regards to funding. Well, good example, in 1991 we got on, we looked at the financial statements of the municipality. We were over $14 million of unfinanced debt. we couldn't even meet payroll, Steve.
Oh
it
my
was it was
gosh.
crazy. So I knew a lot of this stuff going in, and I was just frustrated. So those are the changes we wanted to make, and actually that council in those 6 years put all the things in order for the municipality, got all the financing done in regards to the debt. Did some debentures, got ourselves straightened right out in regards to the finances within the municipality, started putting money away for future endeavors and paying down that debt. So those 6 years were really tough, but we made a lot of good things happen, and we think we got things back on track. And hopefully we would thought that the council in 1997 would pursue those systems we had put in place. They did. And then from 2000, when I got back in, and the council of the day continued that, and we continued focusing on putting money away and doing capital projects throughout the municipality. So my goals were back in '91 to make sure that the town was trying to get on the right track and provide the best services to the residents, even though as a young man, understanding the impact it had to the homeowners and to businesses when you're paying high taxes and high utilities.
So what I hear you saying is really you tried to take a business approach to government, that you wanted to make sure you balanced your books, you wanted to make sure all the finances were in order so that you could do the public services. Did I get that right?
Absolutely, and and I think I really have to emphasize on that fact that a municipality is a business, and a lot of people don't think it is, but it is a business. You have employees, you have a high cost of operations, you have utilities, you have, like every other business has, you have that, and you have to look at it as a business opportunity. So when you look at a lot of councils are made up a lot of times of business people. They have the opportunity and they see that they can bring what they know and their knowledge into the council table. So it's good to see, and even today we have business people on our council, so it's good to see that people are still committed to coming in and helping out and getting the community, I always say, a better place to live, work, and play. And that's what I felt I've done over the last 20 some years I've been on council. And that little hiatus, I've probably been there 23 or 4 years now.
So you were talking about when you were a young fella, there was about 1,800 people in Marathon.
Right.
This boom came in. What's our population like now in Marathon?
So the boom came in. We went through real turmoils in some of those years throughout the late 80s, early 90s to the mid 2000s. And then, of course, we started seeing a reduction in the population because of the mining sector itself. Like first it was Newmont. Newmont was the third mine, the first one to close down. That had most of the residents living in Manitouwadge, but some in Marathon. Then we've seen David Bell, which was the smaller of the three mines, go down in 2014. That was a planned shutdown. It had nowhere to go. It ran out of ore. That's seen an effect. So now we're sitting at around 3,400 people roughly, the census from 2011 says. Now we just went through a census, so we'll see what those numbers come out, hopefully late fall, early 2017 in regards to our population. We believe we're probably still around that 33 to 3,600 range. But we've been holding our own and been still pretty successful at retaining youth, and that's a key thing, I think, Steve.
Rick, please hang with us.
Sure.
We need to take a short break. We'll be right back.